You're listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy. أنت تستمع إلى دماغك على الهواء. سيبدأ البرنامج قريبا. استمتع.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. Which country has the ugliest people? Which race would you want to be a part of if you had to pick a different one today? And what objectively is the best one to belong to? All questions many have been brave enough to ask in the past, but I plan to answer before the end of the day definitively, because if you belong to the Jewish race and you live in the old city of Jerusalem, you can threaten to kill people. You can rape Palestinians, prisoners in jail, free sex whenever you want it. That's like an IDF ad right there. And most people, unfortunately, take it. I know it sounds horrific just saying it out here. It's dirty. It's dirty to say. It's dirty to hear, I bet. But it's true, regrettably. If you belong to their race, you can apply for welfare in one of your enclave communities in New Jersey. Say you don't want to live in the Middle East. I get it. You want to have 7 to 10 kids on Uncle Sam's dime? We got a place for you. Folks, I'm just going to call it. Being a Jew must be pretty rad. You have a saved seat in the New World Order. You're the most useful pawn in controlling the Levant, the center of the world, Jerusalem. And guess what, folks? People treat you with kid gloves for the rest of your life. It's like being a colored person around a white person. It's like the white person gets all reverent. They're like, oh my God, your people are so interesting, and I'm sorry for what we did. Well, technically not we. I'm German, Norwegian, or Irish, or Scots. Most English and non-English speaking people didn't even own slaves, but maybe my family didn't even own it, but I'm just so apologetic, and I'm sorry for whatever my ancestors may have done to Kunta Kinte. Folks, do you want to live in the holiest of holy lands? Maybe with the approval and money from the Israeli government? Do you want to rape and pillage? Maybe consider being an IDF soldier or sponsored Israeli settler of the West Bank. That's right. For a few shekels, you can begin your journey to some Palestinians' sheep-herding land, push a gun to their lips, zip-tie their genitals, and then tell them this land was promised to you 3,000 years ago, and you have the right to kill, rape, and rob any creature that happens to be on this land. Folks, I know it sounds like I'm Hitler's top guy right now, but when someone acts atrociously, when more specifically an entire country acts atrociously, calling them out will sound atrocious. Folks, my favorite Indians are the ones who own casinos and eat fry bread. I can give or take the polka dot ones. I had one of them yell at me at the mall one time. I tackled her because I thought, and it's my fault, a sniper was centering his sights on her forehead. I was trying to save her. Folks, I am in the process of developing my false Jewish identity. My name will be Elijah Kestenbaum. My wife will change her name to Miriam. This will be the only way you will ever actually see me in Israel. I want to get something also very clear about Jews, specifically Ashkenazis, accounting for about 70 to 80% of the world's Jewish population. Many are completely unaware of this fact, but they are not real Jews. What could I mean by that? Ashkenazis are not Jews, but Caucasians. There is a distinct difference. They are not Semites, as many would assume based on how hatred of them is lumped in with anti-Semitism. So I can understand the confusion factor around here. But they're not Semitic. That's right, folks. Ben Shapiro, probably most of the Jews you can actually think of right now in your head are not actually Jews. Ashkenazis actually originate from an old Eastern European tribe called the Khazarians. Semites are belonging in origin to the Middle East and the Horn of Africa. And if you weren't aware of any of this history, I don't know what else to say. And you didn't know the difference between Ashkenazi, Sephardi, maybe you've never even heard these words before. All I'm going to say, I'm going to say it gently here, is that you have no right or knowledge to comment on the Jewish problem whatsoever. You probably don't even know enough about it to have a conversation with like a decently informed, you know what I mean? Like, even if they're a nut, I'm going to say it right here, right now. A pro-Palestinian person who's like the kill all the Jews type, or a Nazi who's like a kill all the Jews type, they probably actually weirdly know more about this situation than you do. Just because they came to a different conclusion doesn't mean that they are uninformed. You probably are. You have no right to comment on it. Excuse yourself from having an incorrect opinion. You've already excused yourself from knowing things about them, so it shouldn't be that hard. The Khazar Khaganate, if you are unaware, it lasted roughly 650 to 965 CE. This was a very powerful empire that controlled the western stretches of the Silk Road, and they successfully halted the northward expansion of the Abbasid Caliphate and acted as key allies to the Byzantine Empire. And then they eventually, in around the 8th or 9th century, the Khazar king and ruling elite famously converted to Judaism. This made them one of the only recognized sovereign Jewish states in history. And the reason for this conversion was largely political. It allowed them to remain neutral between their powerful Christians and Muslim neighbors, Christians to the west, Muslims to the right, and here they are stuck in the middle with you. They basically said, source code for both religions, we wrote that, we don't got to listen to shit y'all say. And then they began, doing all of their rituals. They took a lot of influence from the Babylonians. By the way, when we criticize the culture of chutzpah, the culture of trickery, usury, Talmudic interpretations, if you don't know about the Talmud, look it up, over decency, all these things where it's like, instead of just like giving somebody a solid deal, you're going to be conniving, you're going to be we're going to, technically speaking, these aren't Israeli settlements, they're just like campsites where like we shut off water to people who maybe we don't want living in the same region. We should realize we have a core problem with their faith. It's not and them as people. The elite want you to think of it as like a people issue. It's not. It's the people's mind virus. Some of them you will be able to actually cure of it. Just like Muslims, you can sometimes convince a Muslim or an Islamic individual to abandon serving a child molester, Muhammad. You can actually convince them that it's not a great idea to prop that person up in their minds. Some Jews and Khazarians you can convince to stop worshiping Remphan and Saturn. Remphan actually is where they got the Star of David, as it originally was one of the unholy symbols carried around by the ancient Israelites. They carried the Star of Remphan. According to the biblical book of Acts, Stephen recounts that the Israelites carried the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan, which were pagan astral idols made to worship during their time in the wilderness. And then obviously God punished them for that, depending on what you believe to be the truth about it. Obviously, I try to take an Indiana Jones approach to history where it's like, if I ever see the Ark, I don't know if I'm going to look in it because, but it's, I'm not saying that I believe in God. I'm just saying I want to be careful about it. They unfortunately belong to a culture that views trickery, deception. They're viewed as positive traits if they service you and the community only. It's specifically, let's get one up over the next guy. And I don't believe in guilt by parentage, much like Bibi Netanyahu does, who has said that anti-Semitism is passed through the through the milk of their mother's breast. He believes in straight blood guilt. He believes that in genetics making you evil. I don't. I believe in culture and religions making you evil. I also want to dismantle the victim narrative around Jews being a disadvantaged group. In all honesty, a disadvantaged group can't take away your banking privileges. They cannot ban you from every major platform. They cannot kick you out of restaurants. They cannot advance their power over global media, finance, politics, and law, because they lead to situations like we're seeing in the old city of Jerusalem today, folks. Tensions in the old city, if you don't know, have reached a dangerous boiling point following the weekend of violent clashes, and explicit death threats directed at Palestinian residents. I want to go into this with as few emotions as possible. I don't want to be, over emotional about it. So let's just get into the facts. Let's begin. During a heavily secured nationalist march cutting directly through the historic Muslim quarter, hard-right Israeli settlers openly confronted local families, shouting, "Leave or we'll kill you." The intimidation forced local shopkeepers to shutter their businesses and retreat indoors as radical groups roamed the ancient stone streets, chanting anti-Arab slogans and demanding the permanent expulsion of Palestinians from the city. When, this actually in general wasn't typically the case. When you go back to the old city of Jerusalem more specifically, for a long time under the Ottoman Empire, Christians, Jews, Muslims managed to, there were scuffles. Am I one to say that there wasn't the occasional scuffle? Of course. But in general, there just was not this level of, either put on the kippah or we're gonna fucking murder you. We don't have it. Muslims. I want to get real with you guys. The genital mutilation, the treatment of women. They have no actual issue with that. It's you. They don't want you here. They're like, you can go do that to the women in your own countries, but this land that we went ahead and took from you back in 1967, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna practice what we want to do here. Get the fuck out. This latest wave of hostility is a part of a broader, accelerating push by the nationalist organizations to alter the demographics of East Jerusalem. Human rights groups reported that forced evictions and home demolitions have surged to unprecedented levels. Under Israel's current right-wing government, settler groups are increasingly utilizing a combination of municipal zoning laws, selective real estate purchases, and state-backed archaeological excavations to systematically displace families who've lived in neighborhoods like Silwan and the Old City for generations. Many Christians are even being pushed out of this, more specifically the Muslims, let's be honest here. But I'm also just going to be clear, you know what I mean? There are nuns getting shoved over in the Old City. Like, we talked about it last week, and it's happening more regularly as we go. Amid the rising violence that we're talking about, a rare buffer has emerged in the form of Standing Together, a grassroots movement of Israeli, Jewish, and Arab peace activists. Members of the group put their own bodies on the line over the weekend, forming human shields to protect the remaining Palestinian onlookers from being assaulted by the marchers. Organizers say that they are fighting the hardening public attitudes to preserve the possibility of future coexistence, even as the nationalist groups continue to brand their presence in the shared holy city as an intolerable roadblock to total sovereignty. Listen, the fact that they have been here for so long, you know what I mean? You know, at a certain point, you don't love your neighbors. I don't love my neighbors. I realize that they have to be here, though. Are they trying to blow me up with pagers or things like that? Not always. Let's get a clip of this going right here. Here we have a bunch of Israeli, it looks like teenagers or young men. I can't really tell because they don't shave all equally. They have like these fake little mustaches and beards by 16, most of them. So like you can't tell which ones are adult. Well, I guess technically in Jewish law, it's like 12 and 13. You become an adult according to the boys and shit like that. Typical Middle Eastern shit. But this group of young kippah-wearing gentlemen, some of them wearing baseball caps, are shoving the camera crew. They're getting in its face and whatnot. And it's like, all right, all of you Kyle Broflovskis need to back the fuck up.
Part of the Holy Land. This is an example of the kind of intimidation they're talking.
They're not that intimidating, though.
We are still hours out yet from the march. Where are you from? The march. Where are you from? What's his mind? Blah blah blah. Let them speak. Let them speak.
How nice. They're waving their flags.
It is open today, June 7, 1967, after the Israeli troops had driven out of the new quarter of Jerusalem into the previously Jordanian-held old city of Jerusalem, which now lies clear on the other side of that gate.
This is Jerusalem Day, when Israelis mark their victory in the 1967 war, their seizure of the Western Wall and of East Jerusalem. International law envisions these streets as the capital of a Palestinian state. But those marching don't see it as an occupation. They've come to celebrate what they believe is Jewish ownership of the whole of this ancient city. What's striking is that these young people, many of whom have come from settlements on the West Bank, do not fear the police here. They come from the powerful settler movement, once a fringe extreme in Israeli public life, the ultra-nationalists.
Yeah, it was actually illegal. Under international law, it's still considered illegal. International law obviously isn't real. It's not enforced by anybody, and Israel continues to do whatever it wants. Nobody's going to do anything. International law is an illusion, much like most laws are an illusion until they need to silence you for any reason. That is, of course, when laws actually fall into effect.
Are now increasingly influential. We meet Atara, who moved here with her parents from Texas.
I want to hear Atara speak. Atara is this little blonde girl. She has these blue eyes. She's white as can be. She looks like one of those Nordic aliens we're going to talk about later. She really freaks me out. I'm going to be honest with you because it's typical white girl, white girl being fun. But then she goes like, we have a flag of the third temple we would love to build. I'll let her speak.
We meet Atara, who moved here with her parents from Texas 5 years ago.
Quit smiling.
And tell me about your two flags.
So this is the flag of the third temple, which we want to build, hopefully here on the Temple Mount.
Many people are holding the same flag. The Third Temple movement wants to demolish Al-Aqsa, the third holiest place for Muslims, and build a Jewish temple on the site. We're quickly surrounded by demonstrators.
What are they trying to do?
They want to put stickers.
And what do the stickers say?
Kahana was right.
They idolize Meir Kahane, a far-right American rabbi who moved to Israel and was convicted of multiple acts of terror. He's considered the founding father of the ultra-nationalist movement.
Of course.
So what would you do to the Palestinians living here?
Here, like in the old city, leave a local.
What would you do?
I think Islam is cancer, and you don't transfer cancer to another patient.
Awesome. Actually, wait a minute. I can agree with you. Islam is cancer. Do you know what else is cancer? Judaism. Judaism is cancer. Christianity is cancer. And if anybody has an issue with this, I'm sorry that I'm ahead of the curve. I'm way ahead of like anything. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm elite knowledge, and you'll just have to get up to my level eventually. But yes, she's made the first solid point. Yes, the religions are the cancer, and you do not cut out you don't cut out the cancer and give it to somebody else. So why are you still reading the Talmud? Why are you still reading these rabbis debating as to whether or not you can fuck a 9-year-old because she bled? Right? Like, good argument? Solid?
Destroy cancer.
That's not moral.
Don't transfer cancer to another patient. That's not moral. You have to destroy cancer.
And what does destroy look like for you?
To either kill or re-educate all Muslims.
I think we need to re-educate all religious people, because this girl's not even wrong wholeheartedly. I mean, she's wrong about the part about wanting to kill people, but re-educating? Yes. I think we should re-educate the Islam out of everybody. We should re-educate the Christianity out of you. We should re-educate the Judaism out of everybody. This girl made one solid point. She did call for the extermination of Palestinians, which is typical at this point for Israelis. We just expect that of them. It's honest. It's true. It's truthful. And then they'll go, Hamas. Do you work for Hamas? It's whatever. All right.
This man, Itamar Ben-Gvir, from the extreme right, makes similarly shocking statements. Once convicted for supporting far-right terrorist organizations, he's now the Israeli government's national security minister.
Of course.
And he started Jerusalem Day by unfurling the Israeli colors at Al-Aqsa. Israeli police describe isolated pockets of violence at the march. The Christian quarter of the Old City was set upon by a group of Jewish demonstrators. These streets should be absolutely packed with people. It's very strange being in the Jerusalem Old City and it being completely deserted. There should be
You'd expect so many merchants making a purchase.
shopkeepers, religious pilgrims, and yet they can't be here. And they haven't been able to be here on any of the Jerusalem days because it is quite simply too dangerous for them. Now, we're told the vast majority of those marking this day, Jews across Jerusalem, are peaceful. But the ones who come here, the settler activists, they are bent on chaos. And those we speak to here say it's got worse and worse every year. The settler movement has been empowered. It is now at the heart of the Netanyahu government. More settlements have been greenlit in just the last year.
Of course.
They were greenlit over the last 20 years. And Palestinians in this old city do not feel safe. While many refused to engage with us, some, mostly American demonstrators, did agree to speak. The uptick in settler violence on the West Bank is out of control. You must agree with that.
First of all, I'm not too into that, but I kind of do disagree.
I don't know anything about it, but I disagree.
The level of intimidation by a lot of young, and this is why I was interested to talk to you, because you don't seem to want to fight, which is great.
I don't think that there's any point in
Well,
violence.
a lot of your friends here do seem to think there's a point in violence.
I might disagree with them.
Well, you could just walk along right over here.
Most of the people are
you
not
see a bunch of signs where Jews were killed, right? And those were killed by Arabs.
Yeah, I can show you
And
some
one
right here.
day, that's Yom Yerushalayim, Flag Day for the Jews, so we can't come here to show this is our land and this is our city.
The basis of all this is that you're not from here. You came here from America, trying to displace people who were from here.
First of all, I'm not trying to displace nobody, and second of all, this is my country. I'm a Jew. God gave it to me.
God gave it to me. The argument always boils down to God gave it to me.
Shaheen owns a kebab shop, but he can't open today. Is it every year it happens? But
No, it's every year more and more and more.
we're talking to you now. We've got a group looking down who are trying to stop us from being able to talk to you, I think. That's what they're doing. They're shouting so we can stop our interview. We let them pass and Shaheen finishes his cigarette. What do you feel when you see them walking?
It's bad for me. It's bad for me. I want to live. You want to live. You want to live. Everybody wants to live.
In another corner of the city, a man watches from his window. I asked this man how many people are inside. He said there are 7 of them in the house. He said he feels safe there, but he does not feel safe out in the street. He described to us being spat on by a young activist out in the street.
Typical.
And that the
IDF saw it happen and that they reprimanded those young boys.
But there are Jews here to protect Palestinians. Standing together works to foster understanding between Israelis and Palestinians.
We both worship false idols. We both are into demonology. Why don't we, as Islamic people and Judea, why don't we just get together, have a good old gangbang of, like, you worship your pagan deity, you worship yours, and we'll just, share this old city, and we'll, maybe we can kick the Christians out together.
Against the settler violence here against the Palestinian community of Eastern Jerusalem, and we will not let this violent day affect the population here. And we're ready to get hit. We don't want them to get hit. This is our responsibility as Jews.
But you're Jewish.
Yeah.
It's your day too.
No.
No, you don't feel that way.
It's a day of occupation. I think that...
Look at that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. He confirmed my very message that there are Jews out there that know Israel is evil. There are Jews out there that understand it. We cannot, this is exactly why. Maybe final solution is, like, maybe we genocide all the books. Maybe instead of, burning all of the people, you burn the books that they learn from. I understand that people are going like, well, hey, you're sounding a little Eurocentric. It's like, well, hey, if we burn all of the Talmuds and we burn all of the Qurans and we burn all of the Bibles, people will begin to get all of this shit. People will begin to get all of these heavy emotions away from the issue, and they'll realize, damn, this place is dusty. It's musty as fuck. Why are we fighting over this gross city where, like, some guy died 2,000 years ago? Apparently some loser claimed to have gone up to heaven. Who gives a fuck? Who cares about any of the... these were all L. Ron Hubbards of their day. These were all con artists and scam artists. Admittedly, Jesus probably was more this Gnostic individual who learned from John the Baptist. We can have a whole episode about my interpretations of Jesus and all that. I think he's a fascinating historical figure when it comes to how he organized religion. He did not create Christianity. Paul did. St. Paul did. But that's an entirely different story. We can get into it later. Awesome. More.
Justice must come to all people in this land, and the occupation cannot persist.
Do you think that's a majority view in Israel?
It will be.
It will be. Good.
Standing together is a movement built on a hope of coexistence. Attitudes across Israel to a two-state solution have hardened, especially since October 7th and the devastation in Gaza. These activists are willing to put their own lives on the line for the promise of a different kind of Israel.
They started shouting now because they know that we're trying to speak and they're trying to drown it out. I mean, what do you feel as an Israeli when you see this?
Palestinians here are my brothers and sisters, and I will stand with them.
Well, fun, ladies and gentlemen. How fun to see how everything is just kind of stirring up over there. Folks, I want to talk about something else. I know we started off tough on the Khazarians this episode. You know what I mean? Not all of them are evil. Some of them, most of their government is, in all honesty. You know what I mean? What are we going to do? It's not their fault. You know what I mean? Are you going to blame every United States citizen for Trump? Are you going to blame every so-and-so for their leader? You know what I mean? I'm not in the mood for generalizations. I am in the mood for learning and talking about realities, like realities about the government having anti-gravity technology. They've had it public. The public patent has been available for you to view since 2016. Files patent US 101445332B2. An inertial mass reduction craft. The Navy's chief technical officer has attested to its reality, and it's assigned to the U.S. Department of Navy and invented by aerospace engineer Salvatore Cesar Pius. The patent describes a hybrid vehicle capable of traveling at extreme speeds through air, wind, water, space. Key concepts and mechanics also include an inertial mass reduction device, an IMRD. The concept uses high-frequency electromagnetic waves to induce intense vibrations and rapid rotation of charged systems. It describes a local polarized vacuum. By manipulating these energy fields, the craft is theoretically able to create a local polarized vacuum around itself. This vacuum bubble would theoretically shield the craft from inertia and eliminate the drag of air or water, allowing for impossible speeds and stealth capabilities. In 1992, Eugene Podkletnov, excuse me, Russians, typical, they have tough names, observed something called gravity shielding, published it in Physica C. By Science Direct, Boeing has launched Project GRASP, and BAE Systems, a British aerospace company, launched Project Green Glow, a secretive mid-1990s research program led by aerospace engineer Dr. Ronald Evans at the European defense contractor BAE Systems, often referred to simply as just BAE. The ambitious off-the-books project investigated the potential of controlling gravity and developing anti-gravity technologies. NASA has been trying to master the tech for years now. Amy Eskridge, we've been talking about her for a while, anti-gravity researcher, in 2022 was found dead from a gunshot wound, ruled a suicide. She texted someone May 13th, 5:45 a.m. Oh, by the way, if you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I overdosed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I killed anyone else, I most definitely did not. This made her the 11th scientist to go missing or to die in this research field. Michael Schellenberg testified before Congress that she was murdered by an aerospace company. Who knows? But I certainly know that all this stuff is out in the open and available to find. And if you are the type to think that maybe I sound kooky here, maybe you're just stupid and don't know how to do research or you formulate your own opinions. Have we ever considered that? I know it's not all of you, but there are some people out here who are going, this guy sounds nuts. They probably have already clicked off, in all honesty. They probably, like, by the time I mentioned the Khazarians, they were already out. But probably if you're shocked by anti-gravity, I don't know what to say. Folks, let's talk about the UFO claims that researchers are talking about, the 4 alien species that we may have confirmed: Greys, Nordics, Insectoids, and Reptilians. And all of them look like I could be them in hiding because of my forehead. Let's begin. The internet has gone full-blown frenzy today following a sensational new claim from a physicist and former government researcher who alleges that the United States has retrieved 4 distinct species of extraterrestrial life from crashed UFOs. Dr. Hal Puthoff, Puthoff. I know it sounds like I'm making up names. I just have to spell it so you know that I'm not. A scientist who previously served as an advisor to the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Program and conducted CIA-funded research, dropped a bombshell during an appearance on the Diary of a CEO podcast. Puthoff, I don't know how to pronounce it, stated that high-level insiders directly involved in retrieval operations have confirmed to him that the government has recovered biological remains from at least 4 separate types of non-human life. This guy, Puthoff, I'm going to say Puthoff, kept specific biological details close to his chest during the interview. The disclosure community has immediately filled in the blanks, though. UFO researchers point to prior intelligence briefings and internal leaks identifying the alleged species as Greys, Nordics, Insectoids, and Reptilians. According to the reports circulating within these specialized programs, the beings range from the iconic small hairless Greys that we all typically imagine to the 6-foot-tall Nordics who look strikingly human. They are we have alongside the more bizarre lizard-like ones. These are like the Argonians from Skyrim, if you can really picture it, and the bug-like humanoids. The claims built directly upon the 2023 congressional testimony of former Air Force intelligence officer David Grush, Grusch. He spells it like Bush. That's kind of cool. Who stated under oath that non-human biologics have been recovered from downed craft. All right. So how do we feel about that? You as the audience member, if you're this is the first time you're having it confirmed for you, I'm going like, what is the advantage to them telling us this now? What is the advantage? Are they expecting them to make contact soon? Are they expecting them to start showing up in people's living rooms? Are they like, because we're talking about beings that could be 4th dimensional. We're talking about beings that like could interact hypersonically with the waves around your eyes to where you can't perceive them. As we all know, the eyes, they filter out the light waves and whatnot. It's not able to perceive because it just is too much for the brain to process. There are certain people that also have taken DMT. They realize that there are boundaries that you can play with the world and whatnot, that if you introduce psychedelics, yes, it might have subjective changes to people's minds, but they're also objective. There are moments where it's like unlocking a door. People, they all see the same elves walk into the same room. These are CIA confirmed documents where it's like people, they've all taken drugs together. They've all gone on this DMT trip, and out of the woods, they all claim to have seen the same elves walk out of the woods. That is not, listen, when you get intoxicated, when you, whatever, you and your buddy, you're drinking alcohol, you think about something from your past, your buddy thinks about something from your past. When you open up a mental gateway, you all see the same thing. That's at least what I'm thinking. As expected, the scientific establishment, federal agencies are pushing back hard against these viral reports. Both NASA and the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Why would they even have that? All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office have issued firm denials. They are reiterating that they have found absolutely no verifiable evidence of extraterrestrial life. See, that might be the key. Maybe it's ultra-terrestrial life, not extra. Who knows? We're dealing with P-47s and P-45, not P-45s, P-42, P-52s, excuse me. P-47s and P-52s. Present plus 47,000 years, present plus 52,000 years. Those are also allegedly another species of aliens that we're dealing with, at least according to Amy Eskridge, the former and now currently dead researcher that we mentioned before, who worked at Redstone Arsenals, the census-based place in Alabama, where she allegedly says that it's the aerospace rocket center, it's the Silicon Valley of the East Coast that you've never heard about, at least for all of these people that research, aeronautics. Mainstream scientists are arguing to the public that we need to remain healthily skeptical about this. We need to note that despite decades of dramatic whistleblower testimonies, no one has ever publicly produced even a single piece of physical testable evidence, such as a piece of alien hardware, biological tissue, and none of that. For now, though, they're just saying, ignore that. Ignore the fact that, in all honesty, would you actually hear about any of this if it were truthful? Would these people have alien craft on hand, or did they just work in the same office as it? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have my boss's drinking problem with me to show you at work. You know what I mean? I can just testify to the fact that she had it. I can just testify to the fact that she went and fucked people, on lunch break. I can just testify to the fact that she had, cheated on her husband. It doesn't matter. We all know shit that happened at the place that we worked at. It's just, and then people will go, if you don't have evidence of it, it didn't actually happen. Well, okay, I guess. For some reason, testimony in front of Congress doesn't mean very much these days. Let's hear a little bit.
The Pentagon released the UFO files a few weeks back, and we just found out over 1 billion people have visited the site. 1 billion. It's got to be a record. The War Department says more files will be released soon. UFO experts and top researchers have been investigating aliens for years. Their sources say dozens of crashed UFOs have been recovered, and what they found inside? Shocking. 4 different species of aliens. Another scientist called them Greys, Nordics, Insectoids, and Reptilians. All of them have 2 arms and 2 legs, just like us. Experts speculate the Reptilians are scaly with long tails, like a lizard. Insectoids look like a praying mantis. The Greys look like your classic movie alien, and the Nordics look like a regular Swedish guy, but 7 feet tall. We haven't seen the evidence, but Pete Hegseth says more evidence is coming, and there are a lot of believers in Congress.
How fun, honestly. The fact that we might have serving individuals who are fully on board with this, legit, too legit to quit.
The Pentagon's released a load of UFO files. How's that gone down with the American public?
Very well.
This is a really interesting one. This has been a long... we've been talking about UFOs since day dot, but this has become a real feature of this administration. And funnily enough, it actually started really becoming mainstream because of Capitol Hill inquiries, not least led by Senator at the time, Marco Rubio, who was very fascinated by this information, actually participated in a documentary around the holding of this information, saying that there should be more transparency around UFOs, or we call them UAEs now. And a lot of the reluctance around releasing this information is also not causing fear and hysteria. But you also don't want to admit if the things that they're documenting are any capabilities, you don't want to be sitting around saying, geez, look at this, it must be a UFO, and have your foes laughing at you saying, actually, that's our amazing new technology. But they have released more footage that shows the one's a giant orb, heat-producing orb. And there is just more of a willingness for people to be sharing this information. So the Pentagon's done this release. There's a new website, and they're committed to talking more openly about these unexplained disturbances in the skies.
Well, you're going to have to arrest me before I start calling UFOs UAPs. It just doesn't have the same ring to it, but I appreciate you bringing us up to date.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon is one of the stupidest things that we've ever reclassified it as. I know people are going, well, technically we don't know if it's flying, and some of these things are going into the water. So wait a minute. Was it renamed unidentified aerial phenomenon so that people would just specifically start focusing on the skies? They reject maybe seeing it in weirder scenarios, seeing it in the fucking, I don't know. People have been claiming that UFOs go under the water to recharge for years. Maybe these are the remnants of the Atlanteans. Who even knows at this point? I certainly don't. What I do know about this, ladies and gentlemen, whether or not you are being surrounded right now by 4 different species of aliens, does it really affect whether or not you have to go to work tomorrow? Like, actually, like, how much does this affect our lives personally? Well, I think this also aligns with the fact that many priests and whatnot, they've begun prepping their congregation, their people, their churches for the idea that maybe there's something out there. Maybe we can turn these aliens Jesuit. How can we teach the reptilians that actually there's a member of our species that died for their sins? As a matter of fact, I think that maybe the alien thing will be the thing that eventually puts a nail in religion, where we eventually realize that, oh shit, this world is a lot larger than what we realize is going on, that we don't even know what's going to happen after we die, so let's just quit it with all of the assumptions. Let's just talk reality, ladies and gentlemen. Talking reality involves the rapid fire section of today's headlines. I'm done with the aliens for right now. We'll talk about more as we get more information. Everybody already knows about the Nordics and the Greys, though. Everybody knows that those things are real. They've been around us for a while. Let's just talk about the more important things that we can't dedicate a few paragraphs to, that you still need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy, like Elon Musk's lawsuit against OpenAI and its leaders was rejected by a federal jury on Monday. After about 90 minutes of deliberation, the jury found that the lawsuit Musk had filed was barred by the statute of limitations. This is both good and bad news, because this good in this context where most people, they just like to see him get upset by things. Sure, if that really gets you off, I'm happy about that. The reason this is kind of a bad thing is that this lawsuit was one of the only major things that was hanging over Sam Altman's head before he was able to turn OpenAI into a for-profit company. Whatever, you know what I mean? Now before you know it, he is going to be more decrepit and creepy than we ever imagined Mark Zuckerberg could. Mark Zuckerberg had a view of unnaturality to his face already. Sam Altman looks as though he looks like the aliens we've just been discussing, except in Third Rock from the Sun, this show where aliens, they try to blend in among humanity and whatnot. It's literally that the aliens do not have like a physical form. I think Sam Altman is this Lovecraftian alien, where it's less so that he has arms, eyes, organs like us. I think he's like more so a cloud of gas, or like this ethereal, not really tangible substance. He very much just kind of feels like ChatGPT. He feels like you talk to this little tiny dot, and then the dot like moves around a little bit, goes doot, 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 like it processes what you just said to it. And then Sam Altman puts forth a response just like how his AIs do. I'm not sure. I think we're working with someone who has fulfilled the transhumanist dream. The transhumanism movement, which is like we have to abandon the monkey bodies in order to ascend to the digital heaven that is waiting for us, which is actually, that is like moths to the flame. That is the real Antichrist. That is the mark of the beast. Digital ID is coming for you. You're going to have to get in on it. Doesn't even matter. Christ can't save you from this. The UK's already brought it in. US will be next. You won't be able to get a home without digital ID in a few years. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm calling it. Let's hear about the Sam Altman case. All right. These two beautiful, Elon's a Gentile. I was about to say they're both Gentiles. They both just look like Gentiles.
Than 2 hours for Elon Musk to lose his massive case he brought against OpenAI and its CEO, Sam Altman. The jury in Oakland, California, deliberating for just over 90 minutes, and they found that Elon Musk waited too long to bring this lawsuit against OpenAI. He helped fund and co-found the AI company, and he was alleging that OpenAI and its leaders breached a charitable trust and unjustly enriched themselves, essentially stole a charity because they transitioned from being a pure nonprofit to its current for-profit structure overseen by nonprofit nonprofit foundation. OpenAI, of course, is now one of the most valuable tech companies in the world. But all of his claims about breach of charitable trust, they are all moot because the jury found, and the judge in this case, she agreed with the jury, that the statute of limitations, which was just about 3 years, had passed, that Elon Musk had waited too long to bring this case. This case took almost 3 weeks of testimony, of hearings. We heard from some of the biggest names in tech. Elon Musk took the stand, Sam Altman took the stand, even Microsoft CEO, who was named as a co-defendant in this case, he took the stand as well. We got into the personal details of some of these people's lives. One of the mothers of some of Elon Musk's children, who was also an advisor to him and a member of OpenAI's board, she took the stand. We learned about his romantic relationship with her. We even got pieces of OpenAI President Greg Brockman's personal diary released as evidence in this case, as well as text messages between Elon Musk and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg. But in the end, it all came down to timing, that Elon Musk just waited too long to bring this case. And what this means is that OpenAI's plans are not going to be in doubt, that they can continue on developing ChatGPT, developing their AI models, and that they are likely plans for a huge IPO later this year. Those are expected now to be able to continue on uninterrupted.
Well, I'm happy to see that they are going to be able to make money uninhibited. Like, we wouldn't want that. We wouldn't want to inhibit the people building the rocket ship, as Kevin O'Leary voiced it. You know what I mean? The rocket ship is here, ladies and gentlemen. You do, and whatnot. You do not ask whether or not it's a good idea to get on the rocket ship. Just like, the fake Challenger mission explosion that everybody was forced to watch as an actual massive, it was a massive ritual that was practiced in order to kill the wants to go out into space for many of this generation. They literally faked killing a teacher. They faked killing a bunch of astronauts. You can go find these people on college campuses. I'm not encouraging you to, but some of these people literally went into aeronautics teaching. They didn't even try to hide the fact that they didn't die. Challenger was faked, by the way. Everybody needs to realize that, recognize it. What you were traumatized, what you sat and watched back in 1986 didn't actually happen. You watched a fake. It was only designed to kill your desire to leave the planet. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the man who's died defending his vehicle in Minneapolis. A man has died from injuries sustained while trying to stop suspects from stealing his vehicle, ladies and gentlemen. Just another example of the beautiful Midwest energy that we have going on in Minneapolis still to this day. Mini Chicago is going great in development. In all honesty, I want people to stop saying that Minnesota has no culture. I want people to stop saying that we have, you're a flyover state. Not anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Not since the big GF. Since the big Floyd got his neck kneeled on and overdosed on fentanyl, our state has been on the map, and I have been upset about it since it happened. I'm not even the most disappointed by it. You know who's probably the most disappointed? This guy who just died from some gangbangers trying to steal his car.
Man has died of injuries sustained while defending his car. This in from Minneapolis police, May 15th, 1:35 p.m. Officers responded to what was initially reported as a personal injury accident in the 5400 block of 43rd Avenue South. Officers arrived and provided immediate medical aid for a 38-year-old man who was unconscious in the street after being thrown from a vehicle. The injured man was transported by ambulance to Hennepin Healthcare with life-threatening injuries. Preliminary information indicates the man confronted two individuals who were attempting to steal his vehicle. The suspects abandoned the attempted vehicle theft and ran to the vehicle they had arrived in. As the suspects attempted to flee, the victim was either struck by the suspect's vehicle or jumped onto the hood. The suspects continued driving evasively, causing the victim to be thrown from the hood of the vehicle and sustain a serious head injury. The suspects fled the area. On Sunday, May 17th, the police were notified the victim had died from his injuries.
Wow.
Investigators are working to determine the full sequence of events that led to the incident. There have been no arrests. Neil Carlson for iNews.TV.
Neil Carlson, we love you, ladies and gentlemen. Neil Carlson, iNews TV in general, great source for news locally, anywhere, specifically if you live in the North Dakota, Minnesota region, the Midwest in general. Neil Carlson, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Multiple commencement addresses were booed by graduating students after discussing the rise of artificial intelligence. We covered the Eric Schmidt situation. We covered the one bitch who went AI is the next industrial revolution. Saying this to a bunch of fresh graduates is always going to get a warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, dozens of names were skipped after the college used a faulty AI reader at the graduation. This means that we could not, they went, actually, okay, I understand if you didn't get the chance to come up and to get the hand shaken and to get the photo. I know you've been working for maybe 4, 2, 8 years, however many. For this moment, you've been just waiting, but we're not going to be able to get everybody up here. We're just going to go there'll be some great opportunities for you to get some pictures. Not everybody needs to walk up on the goddamn stage. Who needs that? Let's hear this clip.
This is why we have critical thinking skills going on. Graduates, everyone who is standing, here's what's happening. We're using a new AI system as our reader.
So they got through all of it. They got through, well, all of it. They realized, oh shit, some people didn't even get the chance to go up on the stage. Some people, are still sitting in their seats. Well, our AI reader can't be perfect, and there ain't no chance in hell that we're gonna go ahead and do another revolving of it. We're not gonna go have everybody stand all the way up. Let's just skip it. Let's just, sorry.
So that is a lesson learned for us.
A lesson learned and a moment of pride stolen from you.
What we were able to do, though, is each of you were able to walk the stage and get a picture, which is what I would hope would be the most meaningful.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to disappoint many of you. We will not be able to walk the stage a second time in order to have the name on the screen. You've handed over your cards, so we won't be able to do that. I am so sorry. There's plenty of opportunities, I hope, to take some really good pictures and to celebrate you with your loved ones as well.
Imagine going to school for 4 years, dumb already, by the way, going to a degree mill in general. If you don't have an actual forward set plan, if you don't know what you want to do, I mean, just burn the money. Take the money from your parents and just throw it in a fire. But imagine you go to school for however many years, and then this big, dumb, ugly bitch, she gets up on stage and says, well, you see, not everybody can have their name on the screen. You cannot expect that. Yeah, we're just going to do the rest.
Okay. One more round of applause for our graduates.
One more round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. AI fucking up your reading. Maybe having an AI reader fucking up everybody's photo op opportunities was a great chance for us to see how disastrous this future we're just plowing forth into probably is going to end up being. Who knows?
Spring signals graduation season and commencement speech time, but one phrase proving wildly unpopular.
The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution.
Rough. Oh!
From a tech business executive to a music industry titan, AI clearly striking a sore spot.
AI is rewriting production as we sit here. Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool.
At the University of Arizona, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt faced loud jeers on the topic.
The question is whether you will help shape artificial intelligence.
The speaker choice was controversial from the get-go. Some students launching a petition to replace Schmidt in part because he's been accused of rape and sexual assault by a former girlfriend in a lawsuit currently under arbitration. NBC News has reached out to Schmidt for comment but have not heard back, but he has denied the allegations in the past.
AI is going to touch everything else as well.
You know a lot about touching everything else, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Schmidt knows a lot about touching everything else. He touched me.
Thanks to artificial intelligence and Gen Z, more than half say they use it regularly, according to a recent survey. But a third say the tech makes them feel angry. Nearly half say the risks of AI in the workforce outweigh the benefits. A workforce weary of what lies ahead. Spring.
Listen, a workforce weary about what lies ahead, you should be panicky, because if you don't have a real plan, your parents are going to be right, and they're going to be just disappointed, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully what we're planning for in the future, you know what I'm doing, and I think this is actually a great plan for many people. Don't have a plan. Understand that whatever you think might happen in the future, there's no guarantee on it. There's no guarantee that a degree mill stamping a thing on a piece of paper saying that you're good, someone said you're worthy one time in your life, and that was however many years back. They don't care. They honestly do not care, ladies and gentlemen. Most people say that the college degree is necessary. They're not applying for the right jobs, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to go be a finance bro, you just have wrong desires in life, ladies and gentlemen. You want to go raise rent on like mothers whose first homes just burned down, go ahead. I think that is very, very, whatever of you. I want to talk about the twerking a politician for Detroit's 13th congressional district. She is not shy on social media, and she's the best goddamn thing to happen to American politics. Roll a clip.
Well, twerking her way into office, at least that's the hope for a local want-to-be politician.
Fuck
Her
yeah.
TikTok videos might make you blush, but they're gaining some serious traction.
They're not making people blush, they're making them hard. You look ethical.
Is going to get people to the polls. Pardon the pun.
Oh, I know. Yeah, honestly, like I said, men are kind of, we all know how they are.
Yeah.
Look at the men that are in power now.
Congressional hopeful Shelby Campbell says sex sells. Twerking for your vote in the 13th district.
This is iconic as shit. This is the result of 100 years of women voting. This is the result of the cultural decay of society, and I like it. This is gooner culture. This is masturbation culture. This is objectifying culture. This is everything. This is everything that we've always wanted to build in this country. Or at least we, not we, you know what I mean? We as in like the good cattle, you know what I mean? Not the thinkers, not the people with lives, families to feed, or anything waiting for them in an afterlife. No, the mindless consumers. We're very joyous about this sort of a thing.
Everybody just keeps saying, I was just having fun, I'm young, and I'm taking advantage of social media.
She says she's got booty and brains. A mom of two and former line worker now making cheeks blush across TikTok in an attempt to clinch votes. One of the videos surfaced said, I'm a great, but would you know if you saw one?
Yeah.
What was behind all that?
They were calling me so I just like to be sarcastic, and if you're going to call me names, I'm going to make you feel awkward for doing so. Like, I'm just going to dish it back, because why do you think you can talk to me like that,
Her opponent, incumbent Congressman Sri Tanadar, whose campaign strategy is, let's say, more traditional.
He's got to throw it back. This guy, he's Indian, you know what I mean? He's got like a nice frame. He might have like a decent hip structure. If he tries to throw it back, he might be able to be in competition with her.
I just want younger people in office, and he's a millionaire, so I don't have that, and he does, so it's very hard for him to relate to the people.
She's about as like deep a thinker as most women her age that I've talked to. So by the way, if we're doing this, if we're doing the whole thing with like women in politics, she's got my vote. Let's all vote for her together.
Down on the critics with more posts to come. Can we expect more maybe controversial videos from your TikTok?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. I have to keep it going a little bit.
Yep. She has to be real.
She is running as an independent. We reached out to the Tanadar campaign for comment. We are waiting to hear back.
I want to play for you one of her beautiful videos. Shelby for Congress is her TikTok handle. And this is just one of her videos. It's her lip syncing to a beautiful song. Run the clip.
Big fat pussy with some thick ass lips and a clit so big it could sink a ship. Ain't got no ass, ain't got no tits, just a big fat pussy in between these hips. Yeah,
Yep.
pussy so fat,
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 10 out of 10 candidate. I want to see her in Congress. I want to see her in Congress until her 90s. And in her 90s, I want her to have a hip replacement so that she can throw it back just as hard. You know, throw it back. You're gonna do that thing where you do like back in 2013, Miley Cyrus was the worst example of twerking, but there were these really talented Iggy Azalea types. They have this very distinct bend in like the base of the spine, right around the part where the nape of the back kind of meets the upper buttock. Many of these people don't even realize that it's required. Most people, they just think that they're shaking their hips and it's like close. No, you have to have this bend. You have to have it to where your hips, they shoot back. That's what it is. And she's got it, ladies and gentlemen. She's got it. 10 out of 10. Now let's talk about the teenage suspects in San Diego mosque shooting identified. This is unfortunate. No one likes to talk about this, but 2 teenagers are being investigated by the authorities as suspects in gunning down a bunch of people at an Islamic center in San Diego, killing 3 men before killing themselves. A number of sources are telling ABC News Now. Let's hear about it.
We've just learned the names of the suspected teenage gunmen behind yesterday's deadly attack on the largest Islamic center in San Diego. This is video showing heavily armed federal agents searching the home of one of those teens late last night.
And that attack has prompted increased law enforcement presence at houses of worship across Los Angeles.
Eyewitness News reporter Monica de Anda live outside the Islamic Center of Southern California in Koreatown with new details. Monica.
Rachel, John, Tony, good morning. We'll get to how LAPD is increasing patrols here at our local houses of worship in just a second, but I want to start with this new information we are just learning. Authorities have told ABC News that they are investigating 2 teenagers, Kane Clark and Caleb Vasquez, as the suspected attackers in a shooting at an Islamic center in San Diego Monday.
Okay, Kane Clark and Caleb Vasquez. Okay, at least one of them's brown. You can't say all of them is white, so it's not a race war yet. We'll see.
Overnight of the moment, heavily armed officers entered a home connected to one of the teen shooters. 3 innocent people were killed after police say 2 teen gunmen opened fire on the Islamic Center of San Diego in broad daylight. This morning, we're expecting to learn more about the 3 people killed, but the Islamic Center of San Diego has already identified one of the victims as a security guard who worked there. The center says Amin Abdullah, a devoted father of 8, put himself between the gunman and everyone inside, saving many lives.
What a king, Amin Abdullah.
Who came, like any random person could just walk up and he would greet them, make sure they're okay, whether they were homeless off the street looking for something.
That's sad.
Or elderly. My wife told me this morning.
Look, it's not as though these mosques or these churches, these houses of worship, it's not like all the Islamic people do is, child marriages, rape, or, all of that junk that their Bible says is perfectly fine, the Quran. It's not as though these Jewish synagogues all enjoy the blood libel, mixing children's blood into the what's it called, that bread that they all eat at Passover and whatnot. Many people, not every Catholic church is child trafficking. But that doesn't mean that the core of the entirety of what that building represents isn't dramatically flawed. You know what I mean here, ladies and gentlemen? I think we just have to approach this as like, it sucks that it's happening to perfectly. I think that if you're an Islamic individual, but you were raised in a secular manner, I'm just going to say it. Maybe we could save you from this. Maybe we could save Jewish people from Judaism. Maybe we can save Christians from Christianity. Maybe we can save them. Maybe we can. Maybe there's a chance, ladies and gentlemen.
Not just to grab my son to get the flash, but just make sure to say hello to me.
What a good guy.
We cannot let this go lightly. This is all because of hatred being installed in people's hearts.
Authorities say the 2
Hatred is such a vague term. What do you mean by hatred? Yes, hatred in people's hearts, sure. Do you think this is anger at 9/11? Let's hear about what the motivations of the killers were, all right?
Suspects ages 17 and 18 carried out the attack. The suspects were later found nearby dead, police say, from self-inflicted gunshot wounds. We are also learning anti-Islamic writings were found with the team's suspects and on one of the weapons, as well as a suicide note reportedly found. As police continue their investigation, the Muslim community has been left feeling vulnerable and uneasy. Back here at home, LAPD issuing this statement that says in part, quote, "Currently there is no known threat to Los Angeles. We are providing extra patrols at mosques, Islamic centers, and all houses of worship." Right now, we are outside the Islamic Center of Southern California here in Los Angeles, in Koreatown, and I can tell you there are already some people who have made their way inside of this house of worship, and we know that LAPD, again, is ramping up patrols, and at 2 o'clock this afternoon, we are expecting a news conference right here with the community and interfaith leaders.
Right. Okay. How interesting, folks. Unfortunate situation, but you know what's might be even more unfortunate? This is a bad transition. We got the first new look at the Trump mobile smartphone. Yes, maybe it's not as disastrous as someone, marching into a mosque and opening fire. Still pretty disastrous because just like the Quran, it's going to melt many people's brains, unfortunately. The Trump mobile smartphone, as far as we can see, after a 9-month wait, repeated calls and emails, NBC News has finally received the long-delayed Trump mobile T1 phone. It's raising new questions about where it's actually made, all the factors around it. Like, 3 cameras? Damn, this thing looks bougie as fuck. Let's take a look.
Gold casing, a flag stamped on the back. This long-awaited T1 phone from Trump Mobile is finally here.
Say goodbye to all privacy.
It was in June last year that the president's sons announced a bold new venture. Today we're here to introduce Trump Mobile. The phone marketed as a patriotic alternative to big tech and promised as an American-made phone. We're keeping our data.
This is the Freedom Phone. This is the Freedom Phone back in the day when there was a bunch of talk about big tech censorship. Parler got taken down and whatnot around the time of 2020. And so the Freedom Phone was introduced by this one kid who claimed to have built like a real Doc Ock suit. He claimed to do all of this other junk. And it turned out that he was just buying a shit ton of phones off of Alibaba, which is a Chinese, basically like a Temu type of website, where people buy, not really Temu, but people buy stock of things and then they just resell them for an uptick. You know what I mean? But that's just basically what this kid was doing. I assume that's exactly what the Trump family is doing here.
Sure, we're going to be manufacturing the phones. Trump Mobile said the phone would be released in August. NBC News put down the $100 deposit that same month. Thank you for your order, Brian Chung. But 9 months passed with 12 phone calls and countless emails to the company. But one day after this report last week, here we are in May of 2026, and there appears to be no sign of it. Someone on behalf of Trump Mobile contacted me and said devices were going out to the media. And, okay, here it is. Here is the long-awaited Trump Mobile phone. The phone is taller than an iPhone 17 and comes with 512 gigabytes of storage at a relatively cheap $499, which the company says is promotional pricing.
Damn.
Pre-installed on the phone. Like any other phone, it can make calls, send texts, do some wide angles, and takes pretty good photos too. The phone looks different from how it was originally advertised. The original language on the website said the phone would be made in the USA, language that has since been scrubbed from the website.
Of course. Why not? Why not?
American Proud Design.
American Proud Design. That's the thing. It's American Proud Design, but where was it made?
It's been scrubbed from the website, now saying American Proud Design, with an American flag that has only 11 stripes. Experts say it resembles a phone made in Taiwan.
It looks very similar. It has a very distinct shape. Yeah, that does look really similar. Almost like...
That looks exactly the same.
So far, we're not set up for a mid-range, kind of mid-budget phone to be made in that way here in the United States. If I had to put money on it, I would say that's the HTC U24 Pro.
Representatives
the HTC U24 phone. They just reskinned it to look just like Trump's brand.
Did not respond to questions about whether the phone is made in the U.S. The White House did not confirm if President Trump himself is using the phone bearing his name.
I mean, it would look pretty poor if he himself was not able to use the phone.
Brian, we have so many questions. You've got the phone. First, how does it work? You've been playing with it all day.
Yeah, I mean, it works like any other phone. It's got Android on here. I think, again, it's going to be a surprise to people that there's a Truth Social preloaded onto the phone.
Of course.
And you'll also
it's a Trump mobile phone.
It is a Trump mobile phone. Yeah. And again, there's been a lot of chatter about the 11 stripes on the back instead of 13, although maybe the Trump mobile is the 13. But I think a lot of people are asking a lot of questions. Again, this was a phone that was supposed to be made in the USA The side of the box here says proudly assembled in the USA. So what does that mean? Well, there are implications. So the FTC actually declares whether or not you can say if a phone is made in the USA. It depends on the parts. If you say assembled in the USA, that means that the parts could come from abroad. But if a substantial amount of the assembly happens in the US, then you can say it's assembled in the US. But again, not exactly what was originally advertised when this was first announced in Trump television.
Yeah, and then we noticed...
Well, who doesn't love a little bit of extra chicanery from the Trump administration? Typical shit. I love it, ladies and gentlemen. We can't all be anxious about this. Just don't buy the goddamn phone. Google's already stealing your all of your data. It doesn't really even matter whether or not you want to be a part of it. It doesn't matter. Okay, we're gonna tease out a little bit of this last story about the American who tested positive for Ebola amid the outbreak in the Congo. Trump officially has outlined the government's efforts. Let's hear this final clip from it, and then we will talk about our last story. Let's go.
Ebola, yes, sir.
Yeah. Should Americans be concerned about Ebola?
I'm concerned about everything, but certainly am. I think that, it's been confined right now to Africa. But it's something that has had a breakout. I could ask Bobby or Oz to say a couple of words about it if you'd like. Want to do that?
Bobby, let's hear it from Bobby. I want Bobby Kennedy, please. Damn it. I love how Dr. Oz and Bobby, they all kind of hovered away from the mic. Dr. Oz straight up left, and then he came back when he realized that they were going to be required to say something.
Dr. Overton.
Dr. Overton. Oh, pass it on to a woman. Pass it to a woman. Get a woman on the mic, because immediately, if any of these men fuck up, we can just fire her.
Mr. President. Today, the CDC held a press briefing that provided a lot of the answers and information, but we have stood up a full interagency response. The Department of State, the CDC, the Department of War, everyone is fully involved in tracking. Today, we do have an announced today at the press briefing. There is an American that is symptomatic and has tested positive for, it's the Bundibuja virus, a strain of Ebola. That American, as well as 6 other high-risk contacts, are going to be taken out of that region and taken to Germany. We want to thank our German counterparts. That is an internationally recognized...
Why are we taking it on a world tour? Why do we want to move it? In all honesty.
Location for virus.
No, leave them in the Congo. Treat them there. Fly in the shipment. Don't take the Ebola patient out of the country. Take the stuff you need to treat the patient into the country. How can I know how to do this? I'm a fucking idiot.
Hemorrhagic fever treatments. So we're very grateful that they would take them. It's a significantly shorter flight time for Americans to receive treatment there in Germany. For all other Americans, we have issued travel warnings. We have instituted just today entry restrictions for non-U.S. citizens that have been in the region in the past 21 days. So in Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan. So very serious measures.
DRC is different from the Republic of Congo. The Republic of Congo is different from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
That have been taken. We are working to communicate very frequently with everyone. Your question was, should Americans be worried? Right now, there are no cases of Ebola in America. We want to keep it that way, and we are doing everything we can to support Americans in the region.
Wouldn't it be great if we just kept this virus on its continent? I think that would actually be a better idea than, hiking it on over to the Eastern European, regions. I think that's just not a great idea. Let's talk about the final thing. We have an investigative bombshell that has shattered the quiet facade of a Manhattan neighborhood, exposing what federal prosecutors call a clandestine spy outpost hiding in plain sight. Following an extensive investigation by veteran reporter Isabel Vincent, a federal jury in Brooklyn has handed down a guilty verdict against Lu Jianwang and 64-year-old, God, I was about to say there were 64 of these guys. A 64-year-old local resident, also known as Harry Liu. The historic trial began and revealed seemingly that the ordinary community nonprofit in the heart of Chinatown was actually functioning as an unauthorized covert overseas police station operated at the direct behest of Beijing's Ministry of Public Security? What are we talking about? Okay. The years-long saga traces back to a nondescript office building on East Broadway, which was dramatically raided by the FBI. Inside, federal agents discovered a massive blue banner declaring the site as a Chinese overseas service station. While the defense argued the outpost was merely a benign center built to help immigrants renew their driver's licenses during the pandemic, prosecutors then unfurled the very banner in the courtroom, painting a far more sinister picture of them. Evidence provided that the stations had a true directive, and it was transnational repression, monitoring, tracking, and actively intimidating pro-democracy Chinese dissidents living on American soil. The courtroom drama has also intensified as prosecutors revealed that Liu had been in direct contact with Chinese law enforcement handlers, even assisting them in locating a specific activist living in California. When Liu realized that the FBI was closing in on his operation, he systematically deleted incriminating messages from his phone, a move that ultimately secured his conviction for obstruction of justice, alongside charges of acting as an illegal foreign agent, with Liu now facing up to 30 years in prison and his co-defendant already pleading guilty. The case is marking a major victory for the Justice Department's ongoing crackdown on foreign interference. Yeah, people talk about Chinese bots all the time. Kevin O'Leary's trying to blame it for, he's like, oh, the Chinese are shipping in all the protesters. That's why everybody's disagreeing with my AI data center, whatever. There's obviously Chinese people working in the United States. We know about, these people that have been flown in. They're spies, sleeper agents from other society. We have to just kind of expect that. It's just something we have to live with. Whatever, ladies and gentlemen. It's just nice to see one of these things kind of fall apart, especially when it's Chinese oriented. You know what I mean? We're already going to be competing with them enough with this triple times the size of Manhattan size AI data center. We're going to be so advanced at surveying our own population. We're going to just blow them out of the water. It's going to be great. Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? Am I saying that I'm in favor of Kevin O'Leary's data center? No. But like he said, you don't ask about the spaceship. You just get on. Just get on and let us kill you like the Challenger mission. But don't worry. We're going to fake it just like the Challenger mission. You'll be able to go teach at a university. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I had a wonderful time gathering all of these stories for you. I hope you had an even more wonderful time listening to them. I will be back at it again tomorrow. We will talk about all the news that will drop. We'll talk about anything that honestly will be on my mind. If you'd like to be there for it, Monday through Fridays our post schedule. Subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it. Ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, though, I have been Ollie Vogt Larson with your brain on air. Thank you so very much for listening, and bye.